This is the Serpentine Belt diagram for a Mercedes Benz 2010 C300 V6 3-liter. So once you see this diagram, it should be fairly easy to install the Serpentine Belt. But when you hear this whining noise, then you should check the car immediately or have it checked, because otherwise you might end up with a melted pulley. And you also might end up with a bad alternator, as we can see on the alternator test. So as you can see, this is the melted pulley, and it's like so melted that when I want to get it in the shop, see, this is a different shot before it got melted with the full pulley right there in the top corner, and this is the melted pulley. When I got to the shop to buy this, I was so confused because the size was terrible by being melted. The size was so bad that I got confused, and I was asking for the smaller pulley when in fact it got melted because it got broke, and from the whining noise it just melted away. The battery got depleted, and eventually we got the parts to change the belt, and this is where we're trying to take all of the remainder pieces of belt out of the gear system. And right now I'm installing the other idling pulley to just make sure it doesn't happen again. However, I think the tensioner here also needs to be changed, because the pulley on the tensioner, we got the pulley but I couldn't take it down, and I thought maybe it's better to change the entire tensioner in this situation, because the pulley wobbles a little bit, as you will see in a moment or two. Right here I'm having a hard time reading the phone to try to install according to the diagram, and these diagrams are not too great, or at least they're confusing, because it's very hard to find the right one for your car. And this is for the 2010 Mercedes 300.
That's why I'm moving this. This is the roll of this tensioner, and just like that it's on. I lived and did this too.
So since the battery is dead now, I'm trying to see if it's gonna start, and it won't start even though the other car is running. The battery is so dead that sucks up the entire power that the other car is generating. So we stay with the car on for about 2 hours to recharge the battery to be able to start this car, and we thought that everything is going to be fine. So as you can see, nothing happened. Here I decided to move the car to have more slack in the wires, trying to recharge the battery. And then later on we started the car, and we used both alternators of both cars to charge the battery to max capacity. So here the belt is running, the engine is running, everything seems to be okay except for the idling pulley right there, and almost the highest pulley that you can see gently it's wobbling. So I think that may need to be changed, but let me know if you think it's not. And then after we took the car and we started driving it, the lights started going crazy and starting off and on and off and on, and these are some of the codes we registered.
So every time you turn the wheel, the RPM goes down.
I think that's clear that the alternator is not functioning properly, and
clearly probably power.
Alright, right there you can see the ripple test, and I'm not sure if this is the proper ripple test that I'm doing right now, because it's 1 second time span, and you can see it again, that drop in right there. See the drop right there. So I think this may be indicative that the alternator is not great, because I'm doing the ripple test on the other alternator, which seems to be fine. And here I'm just showing the cables, how the ripple test is connected to this device. Okay, this is another one. You can see the drop right there with the 1 second span, and it's about 0.2 volts I think. And I'm trying to figure out, to me this looked like normal, but then when I looked at the other car, there was no waves in the alternator ripple test, which follows right now. This is the other car, which is new, and this is the, well, new. It only has like Well, the alternators shouldn't go that fast. So this is, you can see there's no like warping down, or there's no problems with the graph going up or down. It just goes straight. So let me know what you think in the comments below, because I'm not sure if I did the proper ripple test, but I did switch to AC rather than DC voltage, and the time span was 1 second because I couldn't figure out if that's right or not. I mean, if I had 20 milliseconds, I couldn't figure out if that's the graph looked okay, so I had to like expand the timeline in order to get a graph that makes sense. Okay, this is the new ripple test for the new alternator that we, took out the old alternator and put the new alternator in. This one, it seems to also have some waves and stuff, but they seem to be like alternated up and down if you just pay attention to the ripple test. Well, that's up, and let's see if that's down. But I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not doing it right, because the previous ripple test is on my car, which is not a Mercedes, and it doesn't seem to alternate up and down this wavy length. And that's the voltage that the alternator is providing to the battery. And if I remove the voltmeter, then the battery, it's about 12.5 volts. And I'm not sure if you want to watch the video on the alternator change. I filmed most of the stuff, how to take it down and how to plug it back in, and I had to improvise with an extra nut because the clamp was a certain shape and it wouldn't fit in the grooves of the plastic regulator in the back of the alternator, so I improvised that rather than breaking off the grooves.